Alright, assumptions about me. I asked for juicy things on Instagram and we got some juice. We're gonna be spilling the tea. I actually have my tea, so get your tea because this is gonna be long. Where to begin? Where to begin? Oh, I forgot to say hello. Hello everyone. We're going to be doing assumptions about me. It's kind of an assumptions about me Q&A. I thought, you know, it's been a while since I've done this. I want you to get to know me on things that you feel like you don't know me on, if that makes sense. And we got some interesting ones. Firstly, you don't share all your gifts from what I got for Christmas, and as you don't want to come across as privileged. No. I don't know what to say to that. I always share, maybe here and there throughout the years I've forgotten a couple of things, but they're probably minor things or I've eaten them and they're like perishable things. My family aren't big gift givers. Even the other night, it's my uncle's 60th coming up, and my dad basically said that between him and his siblings they've got each other like one big present through all their like adult lives. Basically it was either like a 40th, a 50th or a 60th present. I don't know, we've just never been big present givers. Multiple years I couldn't think of anything that I wanted for my birthday, and I didn't ask for anything and until like maybe a year later or a couple years later when I actually wanted something. We're not big gift givers at all. If you've looked into love languages, this will make sense to you. I don't think any of us in my close family have a love language of gift giving, like a primary love language. We show love in many other ways. We do gifts occasionally, but it's not a primary love language. If you don't know about love languages, get going on that. A lot of people, there was a big theme of a lot of people thinking anyway, we'll get into it. You can get or buy anything in life because of family wealth. Well then, for lack of a better word, no. Firstly, I'm a responsible human, so I wouldn't go be buying, you know, planes. Not that I could buy a plane, but I wouldn't if I could, you know what I mean? That's not really the case. People have it seems to be a very strong misconception about the financial status. I definitely had a privileged upbringing. It was never ever go buy whatever you want, do whatever you want. Here's everything, basically. Everything's very measured in my family, and I'm not just talking financially, I'm talking like behaviors are very measured and time is very measured. Everyone's very reserved. I think it's like living in England for so long, you become like a very reserved person. So even if I could, I wouldn't, but I don't. Does that make sense? Here's another one. We're doing all the wealth ones first, apparently. Your family is super rich. I got a lot of these. As I've said, and I don't think this is anything I feel like I need to hide. It's obvious really, which is why it's coming up in all the comments in my lifestyle when I'm with my family like I am now. I had a privileged upbringing. I'm so grateful. Like my parents worked really hard. Like I always saw my parents, both of them, work really hard for the lifestyle that we had. So it wasn't something that was kind of handed or just there. It was something that was really apparent, that came because of hard, dedicated, smart work. I feel like that's actually a good value that I would want to instill in my own children as well, like showing them that, you know, these holidays and these nice homes and whatever, they don't just like appear out of nowhere. They come from hard work and dedication and so many other things. My sister and I definitely were the ones that growing up especially like benefited from their hard work. I went to a private school. My mum was able to be like with us pretty much every day. We had like really nice holidays growing up. It was never something that I'm really grateful for, is that it was never something that was like held against us, like look what we did for you and all this kind of thing that you see sometimes in films or whatever. Oh, another one, you've always been rich. I would also actually like to say I feel like I'm rich in like experiences, rich in love, rich in family connection. It's definitely not one of those kind of situations where I feel like money was thrown at the situation and it meant that we wouldn't spend time together or be together. 2020 was actually a better year for you, self-reflection wise, than 2019, despite COVID. I would say yes, 2019, the first half in particular, was a really, really difficult 6 months. I was going through a really like tumultuous relationship with some really like mental health situations. Both my grandparents passed away within 2 weeks. My fiance at the time had 2 operations and was pretty immobile, and I was his primary carer. And I was also planning a wedding, which I know that should be a good thing, but I didn't enjoy it, and I found it really stressful, and I found all the like politics around it really overwhelming, and I was really happy to see the back of that kind of period. I was basically a carer that was in mourning, that was also a planner and a mediator between families and people, and also trying to do my job and also be a girl in love. So that was really hard on my mental health and my being. It's hard to talk about, like getting hot just talking about it. So yes, 2020 was, despite COVID, you know, that was such a strange thing when that hit last March. It was so strange, and I had some serious lows, but for some reason, because everyone was in the same boat, you know, all the claps for our carers, all the walks, everyone was in the same boat. I felt a lot more supported than I did those 6 months where I just really felt alone and unhappy. In the beginning of 2019, I mean. Sorry, we're getting back on the money thing. Your wealth comes mainly from your family rather than your job. So this was something else I wanted to talk about, because when I was able to start making my own money from about 15, 16, working in the summers, that was how I would pay for my own holidays with my friends. What you guys see, I suppose, like my handbags and my clothes and trips, if they're not kind of like brand trips or whatever, that's maintained by me. I'm really lucky, like my family is so generous in terms of their time and wanting to be together. They'll invite me on holiday sometimes. It's up to me to be able to get to that place. And also pretty much since I started being able to work full time, I've been able to make my own money. I'm gonna call a spade here. When you are a blogger or an influencer, an online creator, you are, contrary to popular belief, able to make a significant amount of your own income. So since I've basically since I signed with Storm, I would say, when I can't even remember what the year that was, maybe 6 years ago? I don't know, 7? Since I signed with Storm, I was able to financially support myself. Before that, I had a full-time job in PR at LVMH. LVMH looks after the top brands, Givenchy, Dior, Guerlain. At one period, I did have a full-time job and also was doing blogging and influencing. When I quit my full-time job to be a full-time blogger slash influencer, whatever we called it at the time, content creator, I was living at home, so I was able to basically think less about paying rent or a mortgage or anything like that. I was still paying for my own food and my friends, going out with my friends, holidays, clothes, whatever it was, but I guess I had like a big chunk taken off, which definitely helped me being able to quit my job, because I had less of a risk, I suppose. Your apartment is only for YouTube filming and you actually live somewhere else. I don't know where this came from. It's very, very weird. People have always said this. No. No, I live in my house full time. I don't know what else to say about that. I've lived there for a year and a few months now. I'm here now with my parents in this house that they've rented for a little while. And I still have my house in London, but yeah, I live there full time. I think actually what people get confused about is when I say stuff is in storage. I don't have a lot of storage space in my current house, so I keep a lot of handbags and stuff in storage. So maybe that's where the confusion comes from. When people see my handbag collection, they're like, I know you have more handbags than that or something. Anyway, let me know. You only want to end up with a white guy. Firstly, I don't really consider myself white. Like when it's like a government form and stuff, I always write other, because I'm kind of like Middle Eastern, Persian, Iraqi, Indian, like I'm a lot of things. So I don't consider myself white, and I don't consider my family white either. Like my mum and my grandma speak in Arabic together, like most of the time. My mum definitely wouldn't say she's white. And cultural things are really important to me, so I would, if I did end up with a white guy, I would want him to understand my culture. I think that's so important to me. But no, I don't only want to end up with a white guy. I'd actually prefer dating someone similar to me, because then I feel like it's easier to understand each other, and like, you know, funny like Persian things that my mum does, or like my grandma like being like, when are you having kids all the time, you know? Like you only really understand that if you're like culturally the same, I think, or like if you've been around it a lot. You're pretty reserved when you first begin dating someone. Yeah, I am. I'm pretty reserved. Like I find dating so fun. It takes a while to peel off the layers, you know? You would have liked to be married and settled by this point in your life. Well guys, 2022 I'm gonna be 30. I'm definitely gonna be one of those people that has a mental breakdown when they turn 30, because 30 just seems so old. Anyway, yes. I would have thought when I was like 18 that I would be by now, if that makes sense. However, I still feel like 20 in my head, so it's very conflicting. In all honesty, it's very conflicting. I'm like, I am gonna be 30, but I feel 20. So I feel like time is on my side, but in reality, those ovaries be decreasing. So very conflicting. You don't show us the super wealthy side of your family to be more relatable. This is not really true. I feel like I show probably too much. Like I'm here now in this big fancy house in my big fancy bedroom, and all my family holidays and stuff I've always vlogged. I've done like family holiday house tours when we rent like holiday homes and stuff. I show my mum's like clothes, and I don't know, like I feel like I show so much of that stuff. So no, not really. And I know it's not really relatable, and I hope I show it in a nice like way, not in like a showy offy way, I suppose. But I don't want to hide something and not be who I am, because I feel like that's really inauthentic and that's not me. This is another question. Money question. You can't make that much money as an influencer, so your lifestyle is paid by your parents. This is a common misconception, I feel like, because people work for themselves as an influencer technically, like you have a company but you work for yourself. This is a hard no. This is a hard no from me. It depends what kind of influencing you're doing, but it is a really lucrative, and can be a really lucrative business, more so than my old jobs, which were in PR, advertising, marketing. And that was why I quit my old stable paycheck jobs to do this, because I knew the risk. The risk was high, but the reward was also high. Your ex couldn't deal with your success and ambition. Now, I'm not sure what ex you're referring to, but my most recent ex was always super supportive and really helpful and up for anything and whatever, so no. But I did date a guy once that basically flipped out one day. It was the weirdest thing ever. He quite literally flipped out and was like, I can't believe that this is your job. And he worked at quite, I don't want to say because it will give it away, but he worked at a very successful company that has a very high reputation, and he basically just couldn't take that his girlfriend was kind of doing all these things and going to all these places, and it was very awkward, honestly. And I don't blame him for it. I think he definitely needed a girlfriend that was more of a kind of housewifey type, I suppose, and stayed at home and was kind of waiting for him when he got home, not like out and about at events and doing things. But yeah, that ain't for me, so that was a bit awkward, and we had to say goodbye pretty soon. You had a breast augmentation. Everyone thinks I've had a boob job. Where has this come from? Okay, let me show you how saggy my tits really are. The other day, oh my god, one of my cousins, you know when cousins, like when children like don't really know what they're saying yet? I was just lying down when we were watching TV, and she was like, why do your boobs go out to the side? That is when you know you haven't had a boob job, okay? Can you see? Like, can you see? They're just, this is what they would be like if I had a boob job, and that's where they actually are. Let me just prod them so you can see. I think I just wear push-up bras. Like, look, is it a push-up bra? It's like padded, you know? It's got a nice shape to it. So anyway, let me just put my bra back on. Okay, we're back. You were the one that broke off your engagement. Nope. Go and listen to my podcast, that's all I'm gonna say. You don't own a house. That is correct. Up until a couple months ago, I owned a house, and it was, I don't think I can talk about it in this video. I'm gonna have to gear myself up for a bit more. It was quite traumatic. So I will talk about that closer to the time. Well, closer to what time, I don't even know, but when I'm ready, I'll talk about it. You're Middle Eastern? Yes. Your family own a castle in the countryside, which is where your latest reels are filmed. I suppose this is the castle you're referring to. It's so beautiful here. Sadly, it's not ours. They have rented it since pre-tier 4. So for like 4 or 5 months now. When did tier 4 come in? December? You'll never get married after what happened. I think I'll be really cautious to get married now and really like take much more time to get to know someone. My ex and I, by the time we met and when we were engaged, was about 9 months. I know that happens to a lot of people, and like when you know and that kind of thing, and I thought that was the case. It wasn't for me, and I don't think I'll ever be like that again. I know I won't be like that again. I definitely won't date someone for less than like the couple years before getting married, but I would like to get married at some point. I almost said again, and then I realized I actually didn't get married. You want to change your career in 5 years. I don't know about the 5-year thing, but I definitely want to focus more of my energy into RAEMI, my brand, and focus more on kind of organic content on my social channels. When dating, you don't tell him you're an influencer. I wish that was the case. Like, I wish I could be like Sharon or something. I feel like people have really, when I'm dating, like people can get a really preconceived idea before you've actually met someone. It's like when I'm dating, I don't go and stalk their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever before, because I feel like in the past I've got a preconceived idea of them before I've met them, and I would love someone to do the same, which is kind of hard when a whole life and relationship history and everything is online, like, I don't know, everything. But no, it's kind of hard, especially when, like, you know, on WhatsApp. I'm not exactly going to change my name on WhatsApp to Sharon, am I? I don't know, my WhatsApp picture kind of gives it all away as well. Look at this. This is my WhatsApp picture. It's like a RAEMI picture. So like, it's kind of obvious. Like, it's not your average Joe that has like a professional photo shoot WhatsApp picture. Why did your previous engagement end? You know what I realized when I saw this question? I was like, why do I still get questions like this? And I was like, I guess I said what happened, but I never said why, which is interesting. So now bear in mind, to any story you hear with your friends, online, whatever, there are 3 versions. Your side, the other person's side, and the truth. This is my side. From my perception now, looking back at it, we didn't know each other well enough at all. Like I said, we had dated for 9 months before we got engaged. And it wasn't the kind of dating where you meet someone and then you've spent every day together for 9 months. Like, there were periods, I think in the beginning we didn't see each other for a month. It was like quite a slow like date, I would say. So anyway, we barely knew each other when we got engaged. Our relationship was not strong enough for like the shit show that really happened in 2019, especially like dealing with so many different components of our lives at once. Like I said, what happened in the beginning of 2019. Thirdly, we just weren't compatible as people. Really, at the end of the day, like, we just had such different values, different personalities. Not to say like anyone has a right value or wrong value. It's obviously just easier when your values are aligned. And maybe if we dated longer, it could have worked with different values, but I think because it was such a short period of time and so much pressure in such a short period of time, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. I hope that makes a bit more sense now. That was my analysis on the relationship kind of breaking down. Obviously I did want to stay together at the time, and like I didn't want the relationship to end, but looking back on it now, I can see why it ended. And that's just a message to anyone going through heartbreak right now, actually. Like, at the time, it's so hard to see why this hasn't worked out how it has. and hopefully for you, with time, you'll be able to understand a bit more and see the real reason why you weren't meant to be with that person. That is my wish for every broken-hearted person, to get peace and be able to have a different perception. And to do that, by the way, you really need to, well, what I found really helped actually was to disconnect from my version of the story and to try and see it from different perspectives. Anyway, listen to my podcast. That was why I made the podcast, which is called What I Know Now, was to help people, because I feel like there wasn't enough resources out there for broken-hearted girls or boys. And I felt like I was in a really lucky position because I was able to have one of the best coaches help me through it. If you will get married, you'll have a small wedding, definitely. If I got married again, it's easy for me to say this now, having planned a wedding, as like I don't care about weddings, because I did care at one point, but now having planned a wedding, I'm like, whatever, they really don't mean anything to me, especially like a big hoo-ha wedding. But that is way easier to say once you've had it, if that makes sense. I would definitely have a small wedding. I would also have, my ideal situation would be like not to tell anyone, and I'd have like a surprise wedding. That would be so great, because then you've just eliminated any faff around the wedding. And I hated the faff. I hated it so much. I hated like everyone's energy on me, and like, oh my god, that just felt so stressful and horrible, and everyone like has so much expectation of you. And some people love it, and I thought I'd love it. I thought I'd be one of those brides that like has the best time and loved it and everything else, and I really didn't. So I'd want to be a bride for a minimal amount of time as possible, with as minimal amount of people as possible, and definitely not have like a big like long engagement like I had previously. You can take money out monthly from your trust. Just curious. Nope, and I don't have a trust. You don't like talking about religion. That is actually true. I don't like talking about religion. I find religion personally really separating. I find it kind of a bit of an awkward subject to talk about. I'm personally not religious. I'm sure people have their own opinions. I believe in the religion of love. Love is love. We are all one. I have a lot of issues with religion, especially religions that are so heavily separating, especially between men and women, men and men, women and women. Like, I'm not into that at all. We are all one, and I think religion, so many of the world's issues are because of religion. For that reason, I find it really hard to connect with religion, especially as a woman. I grew up with an Orthodox religion background. I grew up around 2 different religions, and 3 actually if you include my school, which was a different religion. And all of those religions, women are, especially in Orthodox, only in Orthodox really, but women are secondary to men. Women are basically less than men, and I found that really hard to deal with, and it's something that I really struggle with because I like tradition. I wouldn't want to bring up children, especially if they were girls or boys thinking, oh, I'm so much better because I'm a boy, or like girls thinking, oh, I'm so much better because I'm a girl, or like thinking, oh, girls thinking, oh, I can only be with a man, or boys thinking, oh, I can only be with a girl. I honestly just find it a bit strange, and I find it really conflicting. And so no, I'm not big on religion. I don't like bringing up something that I don't believe in that separates people. I actually saw the other day a news article about Berlin, I think it was, that are making one place of worship for a mosque, a synagogue and a church, which I think is really beautiful. Like, if I was religious, I would go there. That is the kind of place I want to be. You've never had a minimum wage job? Yes, I have. I was an assistant to an assistant of a stylist, and let's just say I basically spent my time in a room, a really small room with no windows, organising clothes all day. It was like what's coming in and what's going out. I didn't really leave that room for quite some time unless there was like an errand that needed doing. But I actually found it kind of therapeutic. I don't think I could have done it for years and years by any means, but yes, I have had a minimum wage job. I feel like you've got to start somewhere. You are proud of your boobs. Yeah, you know what? I am proud of my boobs. I hit puberty damn late, and like I was the last one in my year, my group of friends, to have boobs, and I was like, I want boobs. I used to like shove those chicken fillets down there, like those little jelly things, and when I actually got boobs, I was like, this is so cool, I have boobs. You always want to show you at your best on videos and you exaggerate your happiness. That is definitely not the case, but I can see how that comes across actually. Like I can see, like I only vlog when I'm in the mood, and sometimes I'll vlog when I'm down, but I don't want to vlog too much when I'm down because I don't want people to come down with me, if that makes sense. But I feel like I do a good mix, so let me know what you think. Those white roses were from a guy from Valentine's Day. That's correct. Well, I'm going to end on that note. Hope you all had a good day. I hope I've answered some of your questions in this video and some of your assumptions. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if you guys have more questions following this. Let me know if you do down below. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you next Sunday with another video. Mwah. Bye guys.